this a long time ago is you're always going to have somebody crying and complaining about not getting in. Whether you have 4 teams now or you have 12 teams like you said or 16 teams when I was in school, there's always going to be somebody on the outside looking in trying to get into the playoffs. Look at the NCAA tournament. They've gone up to 68 teams now? And still people are saying, I should have got in the tournament. All these kids, you got Dickie V. These kids got a raw deal. They should have got in.
But if you expand this college football playoffs to more than 4 teams, I guarantee you it would create more buzz for college football.
Should be in. Oklahoma is now on the hot seat. If Les Miles is on the hot seat in Baton Rouge right now, Oklahoma's on the hot seat with the top 4.
Pierre, we could talk about this for the entire show.
Booger McFarland, make some noise on your show. Oklahoma's on the hot seat. Get him out of here.
I mean, we could talk about this the whole show. You know how I feel about Bob Stoops.
Big game Bob.
You know how I feel about Bob Stoops. We could talk about this the whole show. We need to take a commercial break. This is the All Things Sports Podcast with Daimeon Banks and Pierre Banks. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
With more of the All Things Sport Podcast with Daimeon Banks and Pierre Banks on Spreaker Radio. Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Welcome back to the All Things Sports Podcast. Now we're going to introduce a pretty cool segment, if you ask me, to the show. It's affectionately entitled, Bruh, for real? When we say bruh, for real, we're going to look at athletes, coaches, anybody in entertainment, for that matter, who does something that I don't agree with. I think it's not the smartest thing in the world. I wouldn't have done that. You did it, but I wouldn't have done it. And when something like that happens, I just say, bruh, for real? So the Houston Rockets firing their head coach, Kevin McHale. And when the news broke that Kevin McHale lost his job, the first thing that came to my mind, that came out of my mouth was, bruh, for real? Yup. You fired Kevin McHale? I mean, weren't you guys just in the Western Conference Finals, against the eventual champion Golden State Warriors?
I cannot play with them.
And I asked myself, bruh, for real, how could you fire your head coach? Now, I understand Houston Rockets fans, you started off the season real slow. You were 4-7, I believe, when Kevin McHale was relieved of his duties. So I guess you were looking for a spark from the team. And since the firing of Kevin McHale, you've won 1 game. So you are 1-3 since he got fired. You're now 5-10.
Cannot win with him.
And again, I say, bruh, for real? I mean, you got James Harden, all NBA player, great scorer. You have Dwight Howard, great defensive player, man in the middle of the anchors the defense. I mean, is it really Kevin McHale's fault? Bruh, for real? I mean, how could you fire him 11 games into the season? Who are you going to replace him with? Bernie Bickerstaff?
Cannot coach with him.
I mean, I don't think he's walking through that door. James Harden got off to a slow start to the season. That's not Kevin McHale's fault. Dwight Howard isn't even playing. And if he was playing, he'd be shooting 15% from the free throw line.
Can't do it.
How is that Kevin McHale's fault? Bruh, for real, Houston Rockets, shame on you for panicking and firing Kevin McHale.
Well, it had to be something to do with Kevin McHale's relationship with the management or ownership or something along those lines. It could not have been his job performance, because getting to the Western Conference Finals is something that I myself, as a Lakers fan, may give my firstborn child for at this point in the season.
We're not even going to talk about Kobe and the Lakers. Maybe that'll be another bruh for real, for a future podcast.
And I mean, I hate to say it, but I think earlier this week, we witnessed the end of an era. When that man went 1 for 14, a bad 1 for 14 too. I mean, plenty of air balls. He acted like he couldn't get up and down the floor. And I digress, but it just hurts my heart to think about that.
Pierre, this bruh for real isn't about Kobe. Don't bring up Kobe, bring Bryant on this, bruh, for real. I just wanted to say, bruh, for real. Houston Rockets, you fired Kevin McHale? Bruh, for real.
All right, I'm going to take a look at Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football, as some people like to call him.
But I like to call him Johnny Manziel.
Now, Johnny Football was benched earlier this week. Not just benched, moved from first team to third team behind Josh McCown and Austin Davis on the depth chart for the Cleveland Browns. This after Johnny Football, or video of Johnny Football, surfaced of him partying at a club this week. A video that he tried to pass off as something that happened a while ago. He had a bottle of champagne in his hand and, was having a good time in the club. This would not be a problem for most people, and it wouldn't even be a problem for Johnny Manziel had Johnny Manziel not had so many problems with alcohol, had he not had to go to a rehab center for 70 days during the off season trying to get himself right, had he not already brung so much embarrassment to the organization, the Browns organization, that he had to have a sit down with coach and the owner and assure them that he would not be an embarrassment to the team anymore.
I cannot play with him.
Ensure them that he would not be a distraction to this team anymore. You can't argue with progress. Johnny Manziel has gotten better during his time in the league, and he had a career day his last time out, 372 yards in a loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers. But bonehead move by going out and partying, even more of a bonehead move to allow yourself to be captured on a phone to where you're not even trying to hide.
Cannot win with him.
You're not even trying to duck your head saying, oh, I shouldn't be in this situation. No, he embraced the camera. He embraced the champagne. He embraced the nightlife as Johnny Manziel, only Johnny Manziel can do.
Cannot coach with him.
And now he finds himself in a position that most people would now consider his last straw and his last step in Cleveland. And a lot of people feel like he's on his way out of that door.
Can't do it.
So for Johnny Manziel, for your actions of this week and being sent from first team to third team, you get my
Bruh, for real?
Of the week.
Now, Pierre, I have to chime in. Johnny Manziel, I understand completely. I look at it, let me try to break it down for you from my perspective. I am not an old fogey, and neither are you. A lot of old fogies in professional sports, they don't like change. They don't like anything that's different. They want people to be a cookie cutter certain kind of way. And players like Johnny Manziel just doesn't fit that mold. The kid is 22 years old. If he has an off week and he wants to go to a party, I don't see the problem. He didn't get a DUI. He wasn't arrested. He didn't get arrested with any guns. He didn't beat up anyone. He didn't get into a fight. He went to a party, he had a couple drinks. Now, I understand he went to rehab earlier this summer, had a drink, had some issues with alcohol, and he went and got help for that. I don't see the big deal, the problem. He didn't do anything that any other athlete wouldn't do on their off week. So why is the spotlight that much brighter in his case when it's not in any other player's case? If any other player, I'm not even going to say their name, on their off week went to a party, how is that a problem? It's his off week. What do you want him to do? Sit at the house and just stare at the walls? He didn't get in any trouble. He didn't get arrested. He didn't do anything illegal. How is this a problem? Because I understand, a GM or an analyst would say, he's the face of the franchise. You can't put yourself in that situation. What situation? Would it be any different if it was his brother's birthday party? Would you say, you can't go to your brother's birthday party? You're an NFL quarterback. It's his off week. I don't understand.
The big deal and what the problem is, what you may not see, and the bigger issue, what Johnny Manziel does not see, is that he was in rehab for 70 days in the offseason. He has been a distraction to the team. This has been an issue in the past. And so when you sit down with your boss, you sit down with the head coach, with the owner, and you say to them, okay, these things will not happen again. I will not put myself nor the franchise, because I understand I'm the face of the franchise. I will not put us in that position anymore. And the first chance you get, your off week, you go out and put us in that position again.
What position? He didn't get in any trouble. He went to a party. What position? What did he put the Cleveland Browns in? He didn't get a DUI. He didn't get arrested. What position did he put him in? So he has to stay in the house. Essentially, the Cleveland Browns are saying, if you want to be a quarterback in the NFL, you can't go out. Can't go outside. If you would have said that to Joe Namath, he would have laughed in your face before he went and won a Super Bowl. If you would have said that to any quarterback, they go out. They go out and have a drink. They go out and have a good time. This age of social media, of every camera everywhere capturing every angle, it's like they want to bring certain players down. And Johnny Manziel, in my humble, has been targeted to be brought down by the media. And I am a part of the media. I don't want to bring these players down. I want to just talk about sports. And this, I can understand if he went out to the party, had drinks, crashed his car, got a DUI, got arrested. None of that happened.
But it's not about that. It's about...
But it should be about it.
But it's not, though, with Johnny Manziel, because Johnny Manziel has put himself in a position to where it has to be like this.
It does. No, why? No.
If you're raising a child...
So that means if you go to prison, when you get out of prison, you have to live with that stigma for the rest of your life. You can't ever do... All they ever see is you're an ex-convict. They don't see you... Oh, I can do this now and not get arrested. I could be productive and not get into any trouble. He didn't do anything wrong. He went to a party.
He told his owner and his coach
that he wouldn't go to parties?
He wouldn't party anymore. He wouldn't be caught in that position again. Yet he did it.
So he can't go. So no other player on the Cleveland Browns roster, or any NFL roster for that matter, on their off week, they all need to stay in the house. Or is it just Johnny Manziel? Because you're singling him out.
As far as I'm aware, it's just Johnny Manziel, because Johnny Manziel is the only one that was in rehab this offseason. Johnny Manziel was the only one that has brought this negative attention on the Browns. Johnny Manziel is the only one that has put himself in this situation. If you're raising a child and you tell that child, hey, listen, man, you don't need to go to this club tonight, because every time they have parties at this club, they're shooting. Yet you find out later on that your child was at that club that night. He may not have got shot.
That's apples and oranges.
May not have been shooting.
That's Pierre.
But you guys have sat down and had that conversation and said you don't need to be.
That's apples and oranges, man. In my humble, that's apples and oranges, because you can't dictate the lives of grown men. You can't do that.
You're their boss. You can when that much money is invested in them.
At anyone else's day job, their boss is not gonna say you can't go to a party on your week off of work. You can't go out. You're on vacation. You can't go out though, but you're on vacation. No other business in America is gonna tell you that. And this is like Samuel L. said, this is America, Jack. And in America, you live free and die hard. So
that was John Amos that said that in Coming to America. But if you're
America, Jack,
if you're at any other job and you get pulled over for DUI, yet there's become some Facebook pictures or something along those lines posted of you drinking, of you with a drink in your hand, it's going to be the same situation.
He didn't get arrested.
He was in rehab. He wasn't in rehab for no reason. He was not in rehab for no reason.
So what you're telling me is the biggest contestant on The Biggest Loser, who has lost, basically the Biggest Loser is rehab for, obese people. So they can't eat a piece of cake anymore because they went to rehab for obesity.
Now that's apples and oranges.
No, I think that's the same thing. I think
now we're talking about a guy who went to rehab because he needed help. You don't go to rehab unless you need help.
Obese people need help from eating large amounts of food.
This is a guy that went to rehab because he needed help. And this is also a guy who has, again, brought so much negative attention to the team. He has been a distraction to the team. Before this guy ever made a start for the Cleveland Browns, he was in the headlines for partying. He was in the headlines for all negative press. And so what the decision was made that bring this guy in, let's have a conversation with him. Let's cut out all this partying.
And that's why I interject on Who deems it negative? It's the media that deems it negative. And these franchises, these universities, they're being ran by the thoughts of media members. It's like they get coaches fired. They get GMs fired. They get